My daughter-in-law smiled at me across the Thanksgiving table and said, "Barbara, honey, why don't you sit at the kids' table this year? There's not enough room for everyone up here." I looked at the empty chair beside her, the one with my name card on it, the one she'd just given to her sister. That's when I knew. After 15 years of biting my tongue, of being the nice mother-in-law, of pretending not to notice the way Amanda treated me like I was invisible, I finally saw it clearly. I wasn't family to her. I was furniture. Old, unwanted furniture she was just waiting to throw out. But Amanda didn't know something. She had no idea that the lake house she'd been posting about on Instagram, the one she called our family retreat, wasn't registered in my son Michael's name. It was in mine. And tomorrow I was going to remind her of that fact. Let me back up. I'm Barbara Chen, 72 years old, and I've lived in Phoenix, Arizona for the past 40 years. My late husband David and I built a successful accounting firm from nothing. We worked 16-hour days, missed vacations, postponed dreams. But we built something real, something that mattered. David passed away 5 years ago. Heart attack. Quick and quiet, just like he lived. He left me the business, the house, and a portfolio of investments he'd carefully managed for decades. He also left me alone with our only son, Michael, who I thought would be my comfort in old age. Instead, I got Amanda. Amanda Martinez became my daughter-in-law 7 years ago. She was 31, then beautiful in that Instagram way where everything looks filtered even in person. Blonde highlights, designer athleisure, a smile that never quite reached her eyes when she looked at me. Michael met her at a CrossFit gym. He was 42, divorced, desperate to prove he could still attract someone young and ambitious. Amanda was working as a brand consultant, which as far as I could tell meant she took selfies and called it marketing. "Mom, she's amazing," Michael had gushed during their engagement. "She gets me. She understands my vision for the future." I'd smiled and hugged him, because that's what mothers do. But I'd noticed how Amanda's eyes had lingered on David's Rolex when we'd cleaned out his things. How she'd asked casual as anything, "So what happens to David's estate? I mean, just so Michael knows for planning purposes." Planning purposes. She'd been planning all right. The first year of their marriage was fine. Amanda was on her best behavior. She'd bring me grocery store flowers and smile for family photos. She'd even ask about my day, though her eyes would glaze over after about 30 seconds. But then I made a mistake. A big one. I offered to help with their down payment on a house. "Mom, you don't have to do that," Michael had said, but his eyes were shining. He wanted it. They both did. "I want to," I'd insisted. "It's what family does." I gave them $50,000. Not a loan. A gift. Because they were my family, and I thought generosity would build love. Instead, it built expectation. After the house came the requests for help with Amanda's business ventures. $5,000 here for a wellness coaching certification. $10,000 there for a boutique that never opened. $3,000 for a photography course that she abandoned after 2 weeks. "She's finding herself," Michael would explain, running his hand through his thinning hair. "It takes time to build a personal brand." I'd write the checks. Not because I believed in Amanda's ventures, but because I believed in my son's happiness. And if Amanda made Michael happy, then I'd support it. Except Michael wasn't happy. I could see it in the way his shoulders slumped when he came to visit alone. In the way he'd go quiet when Amanda called him in the middle of our lunch together, her voice sharp through the phone speaker. "Did you ask her yet, Michael, we talked about this?" The lake house was David's dream. He'd bought the property 20 years ago, a rundown cabin on Lake Morrison, 2 hours north of Phoenix. We'd planned to renovate it for retirement, to spend our golden years there watching sunsets over the water and growing old together. But David died before we could start the renovation. And for 5 years, the property just sat there, a painful reminder of plans that would never happen. Then Amanda saw it. "Oh my God, Michael, this place has so much potential." She'd been scrolling through old photos on my iPad during a Sunday dinner. "We could turn this into an Airbnb or a family compound. This is literally sitting here doing nothing." "It's my mother's property," Michael had said quietly. "Right, but she's not using it. It's just like wasting away." "That's so sad." Amanda had looked at me with those big blue eyes, the ones she used when she wanted something. "Barbara, wouldn't you want to see this place loved again? Used by family. Used by family." That phrase should have warmed my heart. Instead, it made my stomach twist. But I'd said yes, because I was tired of looking at the empty property, because Amanda had promised they'd fix it up and we'd all use it together, because I wanted to believe in happy families and second chances. So I transferred the deed to Michael's name, or at least I told them I would. Here's what I actually did. I kept the property in my name. I set up a family trust with me as the primary owner and Michael as the beneficiary upon my death. I had my lawyer draft documents that looked official that satisfied Michael's cursory glance, but that left me fully in control. Why? Because even then, some instinct told me to protect myself. Some whisper of doubt said, "Barbara, keep something that's yours, just in case." I'm glad I listened. Michael and Amanda spent the next 2 years renovating the lake house. They gutted the interior, added a deck, updated all the plumbing. They furnished it with expensive pieces from Pottery Barn and West Elm. Amanda documented every step on her Instagram, calling it our family legacy project. Our family legacy, not mine, ours. I'd contributed $70,000 to the renovation. Amanda had asked for around $50,000, but costs kept rising. The deck needed to be bigger. The kitchen fixtures needed to be upgraded. The furniture package wasn't quite right the first time. "Mom, I know it's a lot," Michael had said, looking exhausted. "But once it's done, we'll rent it out. We'll pay you back." They never paid me back. Instead, Amanda started using the house every other weekend. She'd post photos of her friends lounging on the deck, drinks in hand, sunset glowing behind them. Blessed and lake life, family first, family first. Except I was never invited. "The house is really for younger people," Amanda had explained once when I'd mentioned visiting. "You know, with all the stairs and the boat dock, I just worry about you falling or something. It's better if you stay comfortable at home." Stay comfortable at home. Translation, stay out of our way. I'd nodded, smiled, let it go, because what else could I do? Start a fight with my daughter-in-law, drive a wedge between Michael and me. I'd already lost David. I couldn't lose my son too, so I stayed silent. I stayed at home. I wrote the checks when asked. I showed up to holiday dinners and brought the assigned dishes. I smiled for the Christmas cards and pretended not to notice that I was always positioned at the edge of the frame where I could easily be cropped out. I made myself small, undemanding, easy to overlook. And they did overlook me. Completely. Which brings me back to Thanksgiving. This year. The dinner was at Michael and Amanda's house, the house I'd helped buy. They'd invited Amanda's parents, Carlos and Diane Martinez, and her younger sister Brittany. 28 people total, filling every room with noise and laughter. I'd arrived early to help like I always did. I'd brought my famous pumpkin pie, the one Michael used to beg for as a child. I'd worn my good wool blazer, the navy one that David always said brought out my eyes. Amanda had opened the door in yoga pants and a crop top, her hair in a messy bun that probably took 20 minutes to look that effortless. "Oh, Barbara, you're here." She'd said it like I'd shown up unannounced, even though I'd confirmed the time 3 times via text. "Great. You can help me with the appetizers. Just wash your hands first." Wash my hands first, like I was a child, like I was unsanitary. I'd washed my hands. I'd arranged cheese cubes on a platter. I'd smiled at Amanda's friends and family as they arrived, each one breezing past me without introduction. The dining room table was beautiful. Amanda had clearly spent hours on the tablescape. White pumpkins, gold chargers, name cards, and elegant calligraphy. Every detail perfect. I'd found my name card at one of the end seats, squeezed between the wall and Brittany's boyfriend, a 23-year-old who spent the entire meal on his phone. But when I'd gone to sit down, Amanda had swooped in. Actually, Barbara, small change of plans. She'd been holding my name card, already moving it. "Diane really wanted to sit near Michael, and you know how close they are. So I'm moving you to..." She'd glanced around, her eyes landing on the kids' table in the living room. "They're perfect. You'll be more comfortable there anyway. Less crowded. The kids' table. A card table from Target with paper plates. 6 children under the age of 12 already fighting over roles." I'd looked at Michael. He was talking to Carlos about football, a beer in his hand, completely oblivious. "Michael," I'd said quietly. He'd glanced up, distracted. "Yeah, Mom." "I'm being moved to the kids' table." He'd blinked. "Oh, He'd looked at Amanda, who was already placing Diane's name card in my spot. Is there really no room?" "Babe, we talked about this. 28 people, 24 adult seats. The math doesn't work." Amanda had given him that smile, the one that said, "Don't embarrass me in front of my family." Michael had deflated. "Mom, would you mind just this once? It'll be fun. The kids love you." The kids didn't love me. The kids didn't know me. I saw my grandchildren Sophia and Ethan maybe once a month if Amanda was feeling generous. But I'd nodded. Of course, whatever works. I'd walked to the kids' table. I'd sat down in a chair meant for a child, my knees nearly hitting the underside of the table. The 6-year-old next to me had immediately spilled juice on my blazer, and I'd sat there watching the adults laugh and eat at the big table, watching Amanda hold court like a queen, watching my son not once look over to check if I was okay. That's when something inside me shifted. I made it through dinner, through dessert, through the cleanup where Amanda handed me the trash bag like I was the help. "Thanks so much for coming, Barbara," she'd said at the door, already checking her phone. "Drive safe. It's dark out." Drive safe. Like I was a distant relative, not the woman who'd helped pay for her mortgage. I'd driven home in silence. No radio, just the sound of my breathing and the hum of my sensible Toyota Camry on the highway. When I got home, I didn't cry. I didn't collapse. I did something I hadn't done in 5 years. I got angry. I went to my office, the small room at the back of the house where David and I used to do the firm's bookkeeping at night. Everything was exactly as he'd left it. The oak desk, the filing cabinet with our tax returns and property deeds, the picture of us on our 25th anniversary, both of us tan from a rare vacation to San Diego. I opened the filing cabinet and pulled out the lake house file. There it was, the trust documents, the property deed, all in my name. Barbara Chen, sole owner and trustee. I'd told Michael I'd transferred it. He'd believed me because why wouldn't he? I was his mother. I didn't lie. Except I had. One lie. One small protection I'd built for myself when that whisper of instinct had said, "Be careful." I pulled out the documents and laid them on the desk. Then I pulled out my laptop and opened Amanda's Instagram. There was her latest post uploaded that evening, a picture of the Thanksgiving table, perfectly styled, everyone smiling. The caption read, "Grateful for family food and the blessing of togetherness. Thanksgiving tradition, family goals blessed." I wasn't in the photo, not even cropped out, just not there. Below the Thanksgiving post were dozens of others. Amanda at the lake house. Amanda's friends at the lake house. Amanda's sponsored content filmed at the lake house promoting detox teas and activewear brands. "Our family retreat has become my sanctuary," one caption read. "There's nothing like escaping to the lake to recharge and reconnect. #lake life, #wellness journey, #our happy place." Our happy place. My dead husband's dream. My money. My property. Their sanctuary. I scrolled further back, found the post from the renovation reveal 2 years ago. Amanda standing on the deck arms, spread wide, grinning at the camera. After 2 years of hard work and vision, our family legacy is complete. This lake house renovation has been a labor of love. Can't wait to make memories here for generations to come. The comments section was full of praise. "You guys are so inspiring. What an amazing space, goals. Not one mention of me, not one acknowledgement that any of this existed because of my late husband's dream or my financial support. Just Amanda and Michael, the power couple, the young, beautiful family building their empire, and me, the old lady who washed her hands before touching the cheese cubes." I closed the laptop and sat in the dark office for a long time. Outside, my neighbor's dog was barking. A car drove past, music thumping from its windows. The house settled around me with small creaks and sighs. I thought about David, about the conversation we'd had when he bought that property. "Barb, I know it needs work," he'd said, spreading the photos across our kitchen table. "But can't you see it? Can't you see us there, morning coffee on the dock, swimming with our grandkids, growing old with a view?" Growing old with a view. He'd been 52 then, so sure he had decades ahead. I'd laughed at him. "David Chen, we don't have time for a lake house. We have a business to run." "We'll make time," he'd insisted. "When we retire. 5 more years, Barb. Then this place is ours." 5 more years. He'd died in 3. I'd kept the property because I couldn't bear to sell it. Couldn't bear to let go of David's dream even if I'd never live it myself. But I'd also kept it because somewhere deep down, I knew. I knew that my son might marry someone who didn't value me. I knew that I might need leverage someday. I knew that being a mother didn't guarantee being loved, and being old didn't mean being stupid. So I'd protected myself. Quietly. Secretly. The way women of my generation learned to do. And now that protection was going to pay off. The next morning I woke up early, 6 a.m., The sunrise was painting my bedroom walls pink and gold. I made coffee in David's old percolator, the one that made the kitchen smell like comfort. Then I called my lawyer. "Richard, it's Barbara Chen. I need to schedule an appointment. Today, if possible." Richard Tam had been our family lawyer for 30 years. He'd drafted David's will. He'd helped me set up the trust. He knew everything. "Barbara, good morning. Is everything all right?" "Everything's fine. I just need to make some updates to my estate documents." There was a pause. Richard was smart. He could hear what I wasn't saying. "What kind of updates?" "I want to add some clauses, specifically regarding the lake property." Another pause. "I see. I have an opening at 2 this afternoon." "Perfect. I'll be there." I spent the morning preparing. I printed out all of Amanda's Instagram posts featuring the lake house. I pulled out my bank statements showing every dollar I'd contributed to the house purchase and renovation. I documented every request for money, every promise to pay me back every time I'd been left out of family events at the property I owned. I wasn't doing this out of spite. I want to be clear about that. I wasn't trying to hurt Michael or punish Amanda. I was doing it because I was done being invisible, done being the convenient ATM with no feelings or needs, done pretending that being a nice mother-in-law meant accepting scraps and smiling about it. I was 72 years old. I'd survived poverty, built a business, raised a son, and buried a husband. I'd earned the right to be treated with basic human dignity. And if my family couldn't see that, then maybe they needed a reminder. Richard's office was in Old Town Scottsdale, in a building that hadn't changed since the 1980s. Wood paneling, brass fixtures, that particular smell of old law books and leather chairs. He greeted me at the door, a kind man in his 60s with silver hair and wire-rimmed glasses. "Barbara, come in. Coffee." "Please." We settled in his office. He poured coffee from a French press and waited. I laid out the documents, the Instagram posts, the bank statements, the trust papers. "I want to make sure," I said carefully, "that Michael understands he doesn't own the lake house, that it remains in my name until my death." Richard reviewed the documents. "He thinks he owns it." I let him think I'd transferred it. I didn't correct the assumption. And now I need him to know the truth. But more than that, I need to set terms for use of the property. Richard leaned back in his chair. What kind of terms? I'd thought about this all morning. I want to maintain full control during my lifetime. Michael can continue to use the property, but only with my explicit permission. I want all renovation decisions to require my approval, and I want to establish rent if they choose to use it commercially. Commercial use, I showed him Amanda's sponsored Instagram posts, the ones where she was clearly being paid to promote products while standing on my property. Richard's eyebrows rose. "I see. That's technically income generated from your asset without your consent or compensation." "Exactly." He nodded slowly. "We can draft an addendum to the trust. It will formalize your control and establish guidelines. But Barbara, this is going to cause a family conflict." "I know. Are you prepared for that?" I thought about the kids' table, about Amanda's dismissive smile, about Michael's complete failure to notice or care. "Yes," she said. "I'm prepared." Richard and I spent 2 hours drafting the documents. They were clear and unambiguous. 1. The lake house property remains 100% owned by Barbara Chen until her death. 2. Any use of the property requires Barbara Chen's written permission. 3. Any commercial use, including social media sponsorships, rentals, or business ventures, requires a formal agreement with Barbara Chen and appropriate compensation. 4. Any major changes to the property require Barbara Chen's approval. 5. Failure to comply with these terms will result in immediate revocation of access. At the bottom, Richard added a clause that made me smile. These terms may be waived at the owner's discretion in exchange for demonstrated respect, inclusion, and consideration. "That last part isn't legally binding," Richard said, "but it makes the point." "It's perfect," I said. I signed the documents. Richard notarized them. And just like that, I'd drawn a line in the sand. I drove home with the documents on my passenger seat. The sun was setting, turning the sky that particular Arizona pink that tourists take 1,000 photos of, but never quite capture. My phone buzzed. A text from Michael. "Hey Mom, hope you made it home okay last night. Thanks for coming. Love you. Thanks for coming." Like I'd attended a casual dinner party, not been humiliated at my own family's Thanksgiving. I didn't reply. Instead, I went home, heated up leftover Chinese food, and sat down to watch Jeopardy! It was Friday night. I was alone in my house. I was 72 years old. And for the first time in years, I felt powerful. The next morning, I woke up to 17 missed calls from Amanda. I stared at my phone screen, watching her name flash over and over in the call log. 17 times, between 7 a.m. and 9 a.m. My first instinct was panic. Was someone hurt? Had something happened to Michael or the kids? But then I saw the texts. Barbara, call me immediately. This is unbelievable. I can't believe you would do this. Call me now or I'm coming over there. I made coffee first, sat down at my kitchen table, watched a hummingbird at the feeder outside my window. Then I called her back. She answered on the first ring. What the hell, Barbara? I kept my voice calm. Good morning, Amanda. What's the problem? Are you serious right now? The property, the lake house, Michael just told me it's in your name, that you lied to us. I didn't lie. I said I'd take care of the property transfer, and I did. I transferred it into a trust with me as the primary owner. That's not what you said. You said you'd give it to Michael? No, Amanda. I said the property would go to Michael eventually, which it will, upon my death, as stated in the trust documents. Silence, then. You're holding it hostage. I'm maintaining ownership of my own property, the property my late husband purchased, the property I've poured money into. But we renovated it. We put our hearts into that place. With my money. It was a gift. No, Amanda. It was a contribution to a family property that I own. A contribution I'm now going to manage more carefully. Her voice went shrill. You can't do this. We have plans for that house. I have brand partnerships that depend on access to that location. Brand partnerships. There it was, the real issue. Those brand partnerships, I said calmly, are generating income from my property. Without my permission. That's going to change. This is Michael. I heard her yelling in the background. Then Michael's voice, tired and confused. Mom, what's going on? Michael, I said. I need you and Amanda to come over today. We need to talk about the lake house and some new arrangements. New arrangements, Mom? Amanda's really upset. I'm sure she is. Come over at 2 o'clock, both of you. Mom, 2 o'clock, Michael. It's important. I hung up before he could argue. They arrived at 1:45, early. Probably so Amanda could work herself into a righteous fury before the official conversation. I watched through my front window as they got out of Michael's BMW. Amanda was wearing athleisure again, but expensive stuff this time. Lululemon probably, making a statement. She was on her phone, gesturing angrily. Michael looked like he'd aged 5 years overnight. I opened the door before they could knock. Come in. I made iced tea. We're not here for tea, Amanda snapped, pushing past me into the living room. We're here because you're trying to ruin our lives. I closed the door, looked at my son. Michael, sit down. Mom, I don't understand what's happening. Amanda showed me the trust documents. You told us the house was ours. Sit down, both of you. Something in my voice must have worked because they sat. Amanda perched on the edge of my sofa like it might contaminate her. Michael collapsed into David's old recliner, his head in his hands. I sat across from them in my reading chair and folded my hands in my lap. The lake house, I began, was your father's dream. He bought that property 20 years ago with money from our business. Money we earned together. When he died, it became mine. Legally and morally mine. Right, but then you gave it to us, Amanda interrupted. No, I allowed you to renovate it. I contributed $70,000 to that renovation. I never transferred ownership. That's manipulative. That's business. And Amanda, since you're so concerned with brand partnerships and income streams, let's talk business. I pulled out the printed Instagram posts and laid them on the coffee table. These posts, the ones where you're promoting products at the lake house. How much are you being paid for these? Amanda's face flushed. That's none of your business. It absolutely is my business. You're generating income from my property without my consent. That's called unauthorized commercial use. It's just Instagram. It's not like I'm running a hotel. You're accepting payment for content filmed on property you don't own. The legal term is unjust enrichment. Michael looked up. Mom, come on. It's just social media stuff. It's not that serious. Michael, your wife has built an entire brand around that lake house. She calls it our family retreat and our legacy. But it's not hers. It's not yours. It's mine. Amanda stood up abruptly. This is insane. You're being petty because of one Thanksgiving dinner. One Thanksgiving dinner where I was seated at the kids' table, where my name card was moved without asking me, where I spent the entire evening being treated like I was invisible. Oh my God, you're still on about that. There wasn't enough room? There was an empty chair right where my name card originally was, until you gave it to your mother. Silence. Amanda's mouth opened and closed. And it's not just Thanksgiving, I continued. It's every holiday, every family event, every decision made without including me. The lake house weekends I'm never invited to, the grandchildren I barely see, the constant requests for money followed by zero acknowledgement or appreciation. That's not fair, Michael said quietly. We do appreciate you. Do you? Michael, when was the last time you came to visit me without needing something? When was the last time you called just to talk? He didn't answer. I'm 72 years old. I'm your mother. I helped raise you. I supported you through your divorce. I gave you money for your house, for Amanda's businesses, for the lake property renovation. And what have I gotten in return? Being treated like I'm a burden. Like I'm in the way. My voice cracked on that last part. I hadn't meant for it to, but there it was. The hurt I'd been swallowing for years. Amanda sat back down, but her face was still angry. So what, you're punishing us? Taking back the house? I'm not taking back anything because it was never yours. I'm establishing boundaries. From now on, if you want to use the lake house, you ask me. If you want to film content there, we discuss compensation. If you want to make changes to the property, I approve them first. That's ridiculous. That's respect, I said. It's what you should have been giving me all along. Michael rubbed his face with both hands. Mom, please. Can't we work this out? This is family stuff. We shouldn't need lawyers and contracts. You're right, Michael. We shouldn't. But we do. Because somewhere along the way I stopped being your mother and became your ATM. And I'm done with that. I never asked you for money, he protested. Maybe not in words, but every time Amanda started a new business venture, you looked at me with those hopeful eyes. Every time there was a cost overrun on the renovation, you mentioned how tight things were. You didn't have to ask Michael. I volunteered because I loved you. But love is supposed to go both ways. Amanda stood up again. I'm not listening to this guilt trip. Come on, Michael. We're leaving. But Michael didn't move. He was staring at me with this expression I couldn't quite read. Shame, recognition, maybe both. When did I stop visiting you? He asked quietly. March. You came over for my birthday because Amanda made you. Before that Christmas. That can't be right. It's right. I mark it on my calendar. Every visit, every call. I count them, Michael, because sometimes I need to remind myself that I still have a son. He looked gutted. Amanda looked furious. And I felt tired. So incredibly tired. Here's what's going to happen, I said. I'm keeping the lake house in my name. The trust documents have been updated with clear terms for usage. Richard Tam has the copies if you want to review them with your own lawyer. This is insane, Amanda muttered. Additionally, I'm not giving any more financial gifts without clear agreements in writing. If you need money, we'll treat it as a loan with repayment terms. Or if it's truly a gift, I'll want acknowledgement in writing. You're treating us like criminals. I'm treating you like adults, with contracts and expectations, the way you'd treat anyone else you do business with. Michael finally stood up. Mom, I'm sorry. I didn't realize. I should have been better about staying in touch. Yes, you should have. But this feels really extreme. Can't we just, start fresh without all the legal stuff? I looked at my son, the boy I'd nursed through colic, the teenager I'd waited up for when he missed curfew, the man I'd supported through his divorce and rebuilt confidence. Michael, I love you. I'll always love you. But trust has to be earned back. And right now I don't trust that you'll put me first, or even second. I think Amanda's priorities come before mine. And until that changes, yes, we need the legal stuff. They left shortly after that. No hugs goodbye, no promises to do better. Just Amanda's anger and Michael's shame filling up the space between us. I closed the door behind them and stood in my entryway listening to their car pull away. My house was quiet. Too quiet, the way it had been since David died. But this time the quiet felt different. Not lonely, not empty, clear, That evening my phone rang. I almost didn't answer because I was done with confrontation for the day. But the caller ID showed Sophie Chen, my granddaughter, 8 years old, 3rd grade. I picked up immediately. "Grandma," her voice was small. "Hi, sweetheart. How are you?" "I'm okay. Mommy and Daddy had a big fight. They're being really loud." My heart sank. "I'm sorry, honey. Are you somewhere safe?" "I'm in my room with Ethan. He's playing on his iPad. But Grandma, I heard them talking about you. Is everything okay?" I closed my eyes. This was the part I dreaded, the collateral damage. "Everything's fine, Sophie. Your mommy and daddy and I just had a disagreement about grown-up stuff. It's nothing for you to worry about." "Daddy said you're being mean. Are you being mean, Grandma?" God, what do you say to that? Sophie, sometimes grown-ups have to make hard decisions. Decisions that other people don't like, but that doesn't make them mean. Do you understand? I think so. She was quiet for a moment. "Grandma, can I still come visit you?" Mommy said. "Maybe we can't anymore." That did it. That broke something inside me I'd been holding together all day. Sophie listened to me very carefully. "You can always visit me. Anytime you want. You just have your mommy or daddy call me and we'll make it happen." "Okay? Okay." Her voice was stronger now. "I miss you, Grandma." "I miss you too, sweetheart. So much." "Ethan wants to say hi." There was shuffling, then my 6-year-old grandson's voice. "Hi, Grandma. Guess what? I lost my tooth." And just like that, we were talking about teeth and tooth fairies and whether the tooth fairy takes credit cards, Ethan's theory. When we hung up, I sat in the dark living room for a long time, the phone still warm in my hand. This was the price. The grandchildren caught in the middle. The family fractured by my refusal to stay small and accommodating. But what was the alternative? Continue being invisible until I died. Leave everything to people who saw me as an obligation rather than a person? No. I'd made my choice, and I was going to stand by it, even if it hurt. The next week was silent. No calls from Michael, no angry texts from Amanda, no FaceTime requests from the grandchildren. Just silence. I tried to tell myself it was fine, that I needed the space, that standing up for myself meant accepting consequences. But every time my phone didn't ring, every time I checked my messages and found nothing, I felt the loneliness creep in a little deeper. On Tuesday, I drove to Target for groceries. While loading paper towels into my cart, I saw Amanda's mother, Diane, in the cleaning supplies aisle. Our eyes met. She turned around and walked the other way. I stood there for a moment, holding a pack of Bounty, feeling like I'd been slapped. This was it then. The price of dignity. Complete exile from my son's family. On Wednesday evening, I was making dinner, just a simple chicken breast and steamed broccoli, when my doorbell rang. I looked through the peephole and saw someone I didn't expect, Brittany, Amanda's younger sister. I opened the door cautiously. "Brittany, hi, Barbara." She looked uncomfortable, shifting from foot to foot. "Can I come in? I promise I'm not here to yell at you." I stepped aside and let her in. Brittany was 28, softer than Amanda in every way. Rounder face, gentler eyes, less makeup. She worked as a nurse at Phoenix Children's Hospital and had always been kind to me at family gatherings, though we'd never spent time alone. "Would you like some tea?" I asked. "Sure, thanks." We settled in my kitchen. I poured us both chamomile tea and waited. "I heard about what happened," Brittany said finally. "Amanda's been calling me nonstop. She's really angry." "I imagine so." "But that's not why I'm here." Brittany wrapped her hands around the mug. "I'm here because I think you should know something. About Amanda and money." My stomach tightened. "Go on." Brittany took a breath. "Amanda's always been like this, even when we were kids. She'd take my birthday money and say she was borrowing it. She'd use my things and never give them back. Our parents enabled it because she's the oldest, and honestly because she throws massive fits if she doesn't get her way." "I see." "When she met Michael, I remember her saying, 'God, I shouldn't tell you this. Please, I need to know.'" Brittany looked down at her tea. "She said he's older, established, and his mom has money. This is my ticket." The words hit me like ice water. Her ticket. I told her that was a terrible reason to marry someone. She laughed and said I was naive. That love was great, but security was better. Brittany looked up at me, her eyes apologetic. "I'm not saying she doesn't care about Michael at all, but the money was always part of it." I sat back in my chair, processing. Part of me had known this, had sensed it from the beginning, but hearing it confirmed was different. There's more, Brittany continued. Last year, Amanda told me she'd been researching elder care facilities. She said it was just in case, but the way she talked about it, Barbara, she was excited. She was talking about how once you were in a facility, Michael would have power of attorney and could manage your assets properly. My blood ran cold. She said that, yes, I told her it was horrible to even think about, but she said I was being dramatic, that it was just good planning. I stood up and walked to my filing cabinet, pulled out a folder I'd started keeping after the Thanksgiving incident. Inside were printouts of all my bank statements, credit card records, and a list of every dollar I'd given Michael and Amanda over the years. I handed the list to Brittany. Her eyes widened as she read. Oh my God, this is over $200,000. $237,000 to be exact, over 7 years. Did they ever pay any of it back? Not a cent. Every gift became expected. Every contribution became insufficient. Brittany set the paper down with shaking hands. Barbara, I'm so sorry. I should have said something earlier. I just didn't think it was my place and I didn't want to cause family drama. You're saying something now. That takes courage. I'm saying something now because Amanda crossed a line. She's telling everyone you're going senile, that you're confused and paranoid. She's building a narrative that you're mentally unfit. There it was, the nuclear option, the thing I'd feared but not quite expected. She's setting up for a competency challenge, I said quietly. I think so. She asked me if I'd ever noticed you forgetting things or seeming confused, as a nurse, like she wanted me to provide medical evidence. What did you say? I told her you're sharper than half my patients who are 40 years younger. She didn't like that. After Brittany left, I sat in my living room as the sun set, painting the walls in shades of orange and pink. A competency challenge. I knew what that meant. Amanda would try to have me declared mentally unfit. If successful, Michael would get control of my finances through power of attorney. They could put me in a facility, sell my house, liquidate my assets, and there would be nothing I could do about it, unless I acted first. I picked up my phone and called Richard Tam. Barbara, hello? How are you holding up? Richard, I need to ask you something. If someone were to challenge my mental competency, what would that process look like? There was a pause. Has someone threatened this? Not directly, but I have reason to believe it's coming. All right, let me explain. To challenge competency in Arizona, a concerned family member would file a petition with the probate court. The court would order a medical evaluation by a physician and possibly a psychiatrist. If you're found incapacitated, a guardian and/or conservator would be appointed, usually the person who filed the petition. Michael? Most likely. As your son, he'd be the natural choice. Once appointed, he'd have legal authority over your medical decisions and finances. How do I protect myself? The best protection is documentation. Medical records showing cognitive function, witnesses who can attest to your capacity, and getting ahead of it. If you're clearly competent now, it's harder to argue you're not. What if I wanted to create additional safeguards, something that would make it harder for someone to gain control, even if I were incapacitated? Richard was quiet for a moment. We could set up an irrevocable trust, transfer your major assets into it with an independent trustee. We could also draft a durable power of attorney naming someone other than Michael, someone you trust completely. Who would that be? Do you have anyone in mind? A friend? Another family member? I thought about my small circle. My book club friends all dealing with their own aging parents. My neighbors, friendly but not close. My brother in Oregon, whom I talk to twice a year. I don't know, I admitted. Think about it. In the meantime, I'd recommend getting a full cognitive assessment done voluntarily. Establish a baseline. If Amanda tries to claim you're incompetent, we'll have recent medical evidence proving otherwise. The next morning, I called my doctor and scheduled a full physical, including cognitive screening. Dr. Patricia Morrison had been my physician for 15 years. She knew me well. Barbara, is everything all right? She asked when I explained what I needed. Family issues, I said. I just want documentation that I'm of sound mind. I can tell you right now that you are. But yes, let's get it formally documented. Come in Friday. Friday, 3 days away. 3 days for Amanda to make her move if she was going to. I spent those 3 days preparing. I organized all my financial documents. I made a list of every conversation, every interaction, every red flag I'd ignored over the years. I printed out Amanda's Instagram posts and created a timeline showing how she'd built her brand on my property while simultaneously pushing me out of family life. I also did something else, something I wasn't proud of, but felt necessary. I installed a recording app on my phone. Thursday afternoon, Michael finally called. "Mom, we need to talk." "All right, not over the phone. Can I come over alone, without Amanda?" Now I'm actually outside. I looked through my window. Sure enough, his BMW was in my driveway. "Come in." Michael looked terrible. Rumpled shirt, dark circles under his eyes like he hadn't slept in days. He sat on my couch and put his head in his hands. "I don't know how this all got so messed up," he said. I sat across from him and waited. "Amanda's furious. She's barely speaking to me. She says you're trying to ruin our life, that you're being controlling and manipulative." "What do you think?" He looked up. I think I haven't been a very good son." The admission hung in the air between us. "When did it happen, Michael? When did I stop mattering to you?" "You matter, Mom. You always matter." "Then why haven't I seen my grandchildren in 3 weeks? Why do I have to beg for phone calls? Why was I sitting at the kids' table while your mother-in-law got my seat?" Amanda said there wasn't room. I should have pushed back. I know that now. "It's not just that one dinner, Michael. It's years of this. Of me giving and giving and giving and slowly disappearing from your life." He rubbed his face. "I know. I see it now. But Mom, the house thing. Did you really have to make it so formal, so legal?" "Yes, I did, because without formal boundaries, I'll just go back to being the ATM you visit when you need money." "That's not fair." "Isn't it? When was the last time you came over just to see me? Not because you needed something, not because it was a holiday, just because you wanted to spend time with your mother." He couldn't answer. "Michael, I'm going to ask you something, and I need you to be honest with me." He nodded. "Has Amanda talked about having me declared incompetent, about getting power of attorney?" His face went pale. "What? No. Why would you, Michael?" She's mentioned that maybe we should think about your future, that you're getting older and might need help managing things eventually. But not now. Not like you're saying." "Did she suggest facilities, care homes?" "She showed me some websites, nice places with activities and nurses on staff. But Mom, that was just research, just in case, for the future." "How far in the future?" He looked away. "She said maybe in a year or 2. I'm 72, Michael. I'm healthy. I drive, I cook, I manage my own finances. There's no reason to be researching memory care facilities for me. Amanda said it's better to have a plan, to be prepared." "No, Michael. Amanda wants control. Of me, of my assets, of my life. And you're letting her do it." "That's not—" He stopped. Looked at me. Really looked at me. "Is it a—" I pulled out my folder. Showed him the list of financial gifts. The timeline of Amanda's Instagram brand built on my property. The messages from Brittany. "Amanda told her sister I was her ticket, Al," I said quietly. "That you were established and I had money." Michael read the messages. His hands started shaking. "She said that before you even got engaged," I continued. "This wasn't about love, Michael. Or if it was, money was always part of the equation." No, Amanda wouldn't. She loves me. I'm sure she does. But she also loves what you can give her. What I can give her. And now that I'm setting boundaries, she's threatened." "This is insane." But his voice lacked conviction. He was starting to see it. "Michael, I want to show you something else." I pulled up Amanda's Instagram on my laptop and showed him the analytics I'd found publicly visible on her business account. Numbers showing how much engagement her lake house posts got. Screenshots of her media kit where she listed the lake house as a primary filming location for brand partnerships. She's making money off the lake house, Michael. Thousands of dollars, from my property, without ever asking my permission or offering me a cent. He stared at the screen. "I didn't know about this." "I believe you, but Amanda did. And she never told you because she knew it was wrong." Michael stood up abruptly and walked to my back window, stared out at my small yard, the desert landscape beyond. "What do I do?" he asked finally. "You tell me the truth. All of it. Has Amanda taken money from my account without asking?" "What? No. I would never, Michael. I need the truth. I won't be angry. I just need to know." He turned around. His face was anguished. There was one time, last year. We were short on the mortgage. Amanda had access to my accounts and she said she saw you'd given me online access to your savings account years ago, for emergencies. She transferred $5,000. She said she'd tell you later, but then she said you probably wouldn't remember anyway, so why upset you? I sat very still. $5,000? I didn't know about it until later. I made her transfer it back immediately. Did she? He paused. Too long. She said she did. But you never checked. No. I pulled up my bank statements on the laptop. Showed him. There in March of last year, withdrawal $5,000 electronic transfer. No deposit putting it back. Mom, I'm so sorry. I swear I didn't know she kept it. What else don't you know, Michael? We spent the next hour going through everything. Every conversation Amanda had about my future care. Every suggestion that I was slowing down or forgetting things. Every plan she'd made without my knowledge. Michael was horrified. I could see him reframing years of memories, looking at them through this new lens. She's not a bad person, he said finally. She's just scared of not having enough, of losing what we've built. Maybe, but Michael, her fear doesn't justify stealing from me, or planning to have me declared incompetent, or pushing me out of your lives. I know. God, Mom, I know. I'm so sorry. I need more than sorry. I need to know you're going to put boundaries up, that you're going to protect me from her even if that's hard, even if it causes problems in your marriage. He looked at me with tears in his eyes. She's my wife, and I'm your mother. You're asking me to choose. No, Michael, I'm asking you to be a good son and a good husband, to stand up for what's right even when it's uncomfortable. Amanda can be in your life, but she can't control mine. He left an hour later, shell-shocked and exhausted. I didn't know if anything I'd said would make a difference. If he'd go home and confront Amanda, or if he'd convince himself I was exaggerating. But I'd tried. I'd shown him the truth. The rest was up to him. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about that $5,000, about how casually Amanda had taken it, how easily she'd lied. What else had she taken that I didn't know about at 2 a.m.? I got up and went to my office, pulled up every bank statement from the past 5 years, went through them line by line. There were more. Small transfers I'd forgotten about or never noticed. 200 here, 500s there. Electronic withdrawals labeled household expenses or medical co-pays. I added them up. $11,000. Over 3 years. I sat back in my chair feeling sick. This wasn't just entitlement or poor boundaries. This was theft. Friday morning, I went to Dr. Morrison's office for my evaluation. She put me through a battery of cognitive tests. Memory recall, problem-solving language skills, spatial reasoning. Barbara, you're performing at the level of someone 20 years younger, she said when we finished. Your cognitive function is excellent. No signs of dementia, memory impairment, or decreased capacity. Can you document that officially? Absolutely. I'll write a detailed report for your records. If anyone questions your competency, this will be clear medical evidence that you're fully capable. Thank you, Patricia. She studied me for a moment. Family trying to take advantage. Something like that. I see it more than you'd think. Adult children who see their aging parents as burdens or assets rather than people. I'm sorry you're dealing with it. Me too. That weekend, the phone finally rang. Not Michael. Sophie, my granddaughter. Grandma, can Ethan and I come visit you tomorrow? Just us. My heart lifted. Of course, sweetheart. Did your parents say that's okay? Daddy said yes. Mommy's not happy about it, but Daddy said we're going anyway. Progress. Small but real. I'll make your favorite cookies. Chocolate chip? Is there any other kind? Her giggle made everything worth it. Sunday afternoon, Michael dropped the kids off. He didn't come in, just pulled up to the curb and let them run to my door. I'll pick them up at 5, he called through his open window. Is that okay? Perfect. He drove away before I could say anything else. Sophie and Ethan crashed into my house like small tornadoes full of energy and chatter. We made cookies together, getting flour everywhere. We played in the backyard. We watched a Pixar movie on the couch, both kids curled up beside me. Normal. It felt so beautifully normal. At 4:30, while Ethan was distracted by his tablet, Sophie leaned against me. Grandma, Mommy, and Daddy are fighting a lot. I know, honey. I'm sorry. Is it because of you? I chose my words carefully. It's because of grown-up stuff. Disagreements about money and respect and fairness. Daddy says you're right. Mommy says you're being mean. I think, she paused, considering. I think maybe you're both a little bit right and a little bit wrong. Like when Ethan and I fight. There's usually two sides, out of the mouths of babes. That's very wise, Sophie. But Grandma, I'm on your side, because Mommy shouldn't have made you sit at the kids' table. That was mean, and adults are supposed to know better. I hugged her tightly. Thank you, sweetheart. When Michael came to pick them up, he lingered at the door while the kids ran to the car. Amanda and I had a big fight, he said quietly. About everything. The money, the house, how she's been treating you. How did it go? Not well. She's defensive. Says I'm choosing you over her, that I'm being manipulated. What do you think? I think I've been blind, and I don't know how to fix it. Maybe you start by setting boundaries with her, like I had to set boundaries with both of you. He nodded slowly. The kids had a good time. The best time. I'm glad. They need their grandmother. He paused. I need my mother, too. I've missed you. I've missed you, too, Michael. He hugged me goodbye. A real hug, not the perfunctory kind. And for a moment, I had my son back. That night Amanda called me. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Barbara, we need to talk. Her voice was tight, controlled. All right. Michael told me everything you said to him. About the money, about my Instagram, about all of it. And I want you to know that you're tearing my family apart. My marriage is falling apart because of you. No, Amanda, your marriage is struggling because your husband is realizing you've been stealing from his mother and lying about it. I never stole anything. That money was for household expenses, for your grandchildren. That money was taken without permission. That's the definition of theft. You're destroying Michael. He's a wreck. He barely sleeps. All because you couldn't handle one awkward dinner seating. This isn't about one dinner, and you know it. What do you want from me? Her voice cracked. What do I have to do to fix this? It was the first vulnerability she'd ever shown me, the first crack in the armor. I want acknowledgement, Sam said. I want you to admit what you've done. I want respect. I want to be included in my grandchildren's lives. I want honesty instead of manipulation. And the lake house stays in my name. But if you can show me respect, if you can rebuild trust, we can work out reasonable access. That's not good enough. Then we have nothing more to discuss. Barbara, please. No, Amanda. The ball is in your court. You can choose to be part of a family that includes me with respect and dignity. Or you can continue fighting me and we'll all lose. Your choice. I hung up. My hands were shaking. Confrontation still didn't come naturally to me, even when I was right. Monday morning, I received an email from Richard Tam with an attachment. Barbara, I wanted to make sure you saw this. A petition was filed with the probate court this morning. I'm sending the details now. My stomach dropped. I opened the attachment. Petition for appointment of guardian and conservator for an incapacitated person, Barbara Chen, filed by Amanda Martinez Reynolds. Not Michael. Amanda. She'd done it. She'd actually done it. The petition claimed I was suffering from cognitive decline, memory loss, and inability to manage my financial affairs. It cited concerns from family members and erratic behavior regarding family property. There was a court date set for 3 weeks from now. I called Richard immediately. I saw it, he said. I'm not surprised, but the timing is aggressive. She's moving fast. What do? We respond with your medical evaluation from Dr. Morrison. We provide testimony from witnesses who can attest to your competency. We show the court that this petition is frivolous and motivated by financial interest, not genuine concern. Will it work? Barbara, you just completed a cognitive evaluation showing perfect mental function. You manage your own home, your finances, your legal affairs. Unless Amanda has compelling medical evidence, which she doesn't, this petition will be dismissed. But she'll try anyway. She will, and it will be stressful and unpleasant. But you're going to win. After we hung up, I sat at my kitchen table for a long time. This was war now. Full open war, and I was ready for it. Tuesday afternoon, there was a knock on my door. I looked through the peephole and saw a woman I didn't recognize. 50-something professional attire carrying a folder. I opened the door with the chain still on. Yes. Mrs. Chen, I'm Dr. Linda Vasquez. I've been appointed by the court to conduct a competency evaluation. Already the hearing isn't for 3 weeks. Standard procedure. The court orders an independent evaluation as soon as the petition is filed. May I come in? I called Richard first, put him on speaker. Let her in, he advised. Be cooperative. You have nothing to hide. So I did. Dr. Vasquez was thorough. She spent 2 hours with me asking questions, administering tests, reviewing my living situation. She asked about my medical history, my daily routine, my financial management. Do you manage your own bank accounts? She asked. Yes. I balance my checkbook monthly. I pay all my own bills. I have investments I monitor regularly. Do you have any help with household tasks? I have a cleaning service that comes twice a month. Everything else I do myself. Cooking, shopping, yard work. And you drive every day. I have a clean driving record. No accidents. She made notes. Mrs. Chen, I've reviewed the petition filed against you. I want to be clear that I'm an independent evaluator. I'm not working for the person who filed or for you. My job is to provide the court with an objective assessment. I understand. That said, I'm not seeing any evidence of incapacity. You're lucid, articulate, and clearly managing your affairs competently. I'll need to submit my full report, but preliminarily I don't see grounds for guardianship or conservatorship. I felt tears prick my eyes. Thank you. Don't thank me. I'm just reporting what I see. But Mrs. Chen, I do want to ask, why do you think this petition was filed? Money, I said simply, and control. My daughter-in-law wants access to my assets. I refused, so she's trying to force it legally. I see this more than I'd like to, Dr. Vasquez said quietly. Adult children or family members who see aging relatives as obstacles or resources rather than people. It's troubling. What happens now? I'll submit my report within the week. The court will review it along with any other evidence before the hearing. Based on my findings, I'd be surprised if this petition proceeds. After she left, I called Michael. Did you know Amanda filed a competency petition against me? Silence. Then what? She filed a legal petition claiming I'm mentally unfit. There's a court hearing in 3 weeks. No, she wouldn't. Mom, I swear I didn't know about this. Where are you right now? At work. Why? Go home, Michael. Look through Amanda's things, her computer, her papers. See what else she's been planning that you don't know about. Mom, do it, Michael. You need to see who you're really married to. 2 hours later, Michael called back. His voice was hollow. I found emails. Correspondence with a lawyer, not Richard, someone else. She's been planning this for months. Before Thanksgiving. Before the lake house thing. She had a whole timeline. What kind of timeline? Phase 1, get you declared incompetent. Phase 2, get power of attorney. Phase 3, sell your house and liquidate assets. She even researched which memory care facility would take your Medicare. I closed my eyes. Michael, there's more. She's been telling people you're unstable. Your neighbors, people at my work, her family. Building a narrative that you're losing it. I found text messages, Mom. Coordinating stories. I'm so sorry. Sorry, Mom, this is criminal. This is elder abuse. His voice broke. How did I marry someone like this? You didn't know. I should have known. I should have protected you. You're protecting me now. Wednesday morning, I received a call from an unknown number. Mrs. Chen, this is Detective Sarah Reeves with the Phoenix Police Department Financial Crimes Unit. I understand you may have information about financial exploitation of a vulnerable adult. My heart raced. I didn't file a report. No, but your attorney did, on your behalf. He provided us with documentation of unauthorized withdrawals from your accounts totaling approximately $11,000 over 3 years. Yes, that's correct. We'd like to interview you. Would you be available to come down to the station today? Today. The sooner we can establish a timeline, the better. Financial exploitation cases are time-sensitive. I spent 3 hours at the police station going through everything. Every withdrawal, every transfer, every lie. Detective Reeves was a woman in her 40s, competent and compassionate. She took detailed notes, made copies of all my documentation, and explained the process. What we have here is a pattern of financial exploitation. Small amounts over time, unauthorized access to accounts, potentially fraudulent transfers. Combined with the competency petition, this paints a picture of systematic elder abuse. Elder abuse. The term felt strange applied to me. I didn't feel like a victim. I felt like someone fighting back. We'll need to interview your son and daughter-in-law. Get their statements. The evidence you've provided is substantial, but we need their side as well. What happens if they're charged? Financial exploitation of a vulnerable adult is a Class 2 felony in Arizona. If convicted, they could face prison time and be ordered to pay restitution. Prison time. For my son and his wife. For my grandchildren's parents. I don't want to destroy their lives, I said. I just want this to stop. Mrs. Chen, what you want is justice. How the legal system proceeds is out of your hands now, but I want you to know you did the right thing. People like your daughter-in-law count on their victims staying silent. You didn't. I left the police station feeling strange. Not triumphant, not relieved, just heavy. That evening, Michael called. He'd been interviewed by the police. They asked me about the money, he said. All of it. Mom, I told them the truth, that Amanda took it without my knowledge, that I didn't realize it until recently. I know. They're going to arrest her. The detective said they have enough evidence to charge her with multiple counts of theft and financial exploitation. Michael, I'm divorcing her mom. I already called a lawyer. I can't be married to someone who would do this to you, to our family. The kids will be okay. They'll be better off without this toxicity. And Mom, I'm so sorry. For all of it. For not seeing it. For not protecting you. For choosing her over you again and again. You're choosing now, I said. That's what matters. Thursday, 2 things happened. First, Dr. Vasquez's report was submitted to the court. Richard called to read me the key findings. Mrs. Barbara Chen demonstrates full cognitive capacity, excellent judgment, and complete ability to manage her personal and financial affairs. There is no medical or psychological basis for the appointment of a guardian or conservator. This petition appears to be motivated by factors other than genuine concern for Mrs. Chen's well-being. The hearing was canceled. The petition was dismissed with prejudice, meaning Amanda couldn't file another one. Second, Amanda was arrested. Michael called me from the police station. He'd gone with her even though they were separating. Because despite everything, she was still the mother of his children, and he wanted to make sure she had legal representation. She's being charged with 2 counts of theft, 1 count of financial exploitation of a vulnerable adult, and 1 count of filing a fraudulent court petition, he said. Her bail is set at $50,000. Are you going to post it? No, her parents are. But Mom, she's facing serious time. Her lawyer says if convicted, she could get 2 to 5 years. I sat down heavily. 2 to 5 years. Sophie and Ethan's mother in prison. I didn't want this, I said. I know, but it's out of your hands now. The state is prosecuting because what she did is criminal. You were the victim, but it's not just about you anymore. Friday evening, Brittany came by again. She brought flowers and tears. I'm so sorry, Barbara. If I'd said something earlier, maybe nothing. Amanda made her choices. You tried to warn me. You did what you could. She's my sister. I should have stopped her. You can't save people from themselves, Brittany. Believe me, I've tried. We sat together in my living room, 2 women caught in the wreckage of one woman's greed and entitlement. What happens now? Brittany asked. Now? I looked around my quiet house. Now I figure out how to be a grandmother to kids whose mother is facing prison. Now I figure out how to help my son rebuild his life. Now I pick up the pieces and try to make something good from all this mess. That's a lot of weight to carry. I've carried worse. That night I sat in David's office and looked at our old photos. Wedding pictures. Michael as a baby. Family vacations to the Grand Canyon and Disneyland. Birthday parties and graduations. A whole life built on love and work and sacrifice. And somewhere along the way that love had been taken for granted. That sacrifice had been seen as obligation rather than gift. But I'd stood up. I'd drawn boundaries. I'd refused to disappear quietly. And yes, it had cost me. It had fractured my family, traumatized my grandchildren, and exposed ugly truths I'd rather not have known. But I was still here. Still standing. Still myself. For the first time in years, I wasn't invisible. And that I thought looking at David's picture might be worth everything it cost. The weeks leading up to Amanda's trial were the hardest of my life. Harder than losing David. Harder than building a business from nothing. Harder than anything I'd faced in 72 years. Because this time the casualties were children. Sophie stopped smiling. Ethan started having nightmares, and I watched my son try to hold together two kids whose world was falling apart. "Grandma, why can't Mommy come home?" Ethan asked me one afternoon. He was sitting at my kitchen table, pushing cookie crumbs around with his finger. 6 years old and already learning that parents aren't invincible. "Your mommy made some mistakes," I said carefully. "Grown-up mistakes. And now she has to face the consequences." "Did you send her to jail?" The question hit me like a physical blow. "No, honey, I didn't send her anywhere. Your mommy took money that wasn't hers. The police arrested her because that's against the law." "But you're the one she took money from." "Yes. So it's kind of your fault." I looked at this little boy, my grandson, with Michael's eyes and Amanda's stubborn chin, and saw the impossible position he was in. Loving a mother who'd done wrong, needing a grandmother who'd pressed charges. Ethan sometimes doing the right thing hurts people we love. I didn't want your mommy to get in trouble. I just wanted her to stop taking things that weren't hers. But she didn't stop, so other people had to get involved. "Do you still love us, even though Mommy was bad?" "Oh, sweetheart." I pulled him onto my lap, even though he was getting too big for it. "I love you more than anything in this world. You and Sophie. Nothing your mommy did changes that. Nothing ever will." He buried his face in my shoulder and cried, and I held him, feeling the weight of every decision I'd made that led to this moment. Michael moved back in with me temporarily. His house, the one I'd helped buy, was too full of Amanda, too full of memories and broken promises. "Just until I figure things out," he said, carrying boxes into his old bedroom. The room still had his high school baseball trophies on the shelf and a faded poster of Michael Jordan on the wall. "Stay as long as you need," I said. Having him home was strange. He was 49 years old, but in some ways he was my boy again, eating cereal for dinner, falling asleep on the couch watching TV, asking me to help him figure out how to braid Sophie's hair for school. One night, about 2 weeks after he moved in, he came into the kitchen where I was doing dishes. "I don't know how to do this, Mom." "Do what?" "Be a single parent. Be enough for them when everything's falling apart." I dried my hands and turned to face him. "Michael, you're not doing it alone. You have me." "I know, but what if I mess them up? What if they grow up hating me for letting this happen?" "You didn't let this happen. Amanda made her own choices. But I didn't see it. I should have seen what she was doing to you. What she was capable of. Love makes us blind sometimes. That doesn't make you a bad father. It makes you human." He leaned against the counter looking exhausted. "The kids asked if they can visit Amanda in jail." My stomach clenched. "What did you say?" "I said I'd think about it. But Mom, I don't know if I can take them there. I don't know if I can watch my kids see their mother behind bars." "Then don't. Not yet. Let Amanda get through the trial first. Let them adjust to this new reality. There's no rush. She's calling them every day. Collect calls from the jail. Sophie cries every time. Ethan pretends he doesn't care, but I can tell he does. They're allowed to love her, Michael. Even after everything. She's still their mother." "How can you say that?" "After what she did to you." I thought about that for a long moment. Because punishing Amanda and punishing your children are two different things. Sophie and Ethan didn't steal from me. They didn't lie or manipulate. They're innocent in all of this. And they need their mother, even a flawed one, more than I need revenge. The surprising ally came from an unexpected place. Brittany started coming over 3 times a week. She'd bring groceries, help with the kids, sit with me while Michael worked late. "You don't have to do this," I told her one evening. She was helping Sophie with homework while I made dinner. "I know, but I want to. You're the only person in this family who treated me like I mattered. Amanda always made me feel small, like the failure sister who didn't have her life together. You're a nurse. You save children's lives. That's hardly a failure. Try telling Amanda that. To her, I was just the fat sister who worked for a paycheck instead of building a personal brand." She made air quotes with her fingers. "Well, I think you're remarkable." She smiled. "That means a lot coming from you. You know, growing up, Amanda got everything. The attention, the praise, the resources. My parents paid for her apartment, her car, her certifications. I paid my own way through nursing school with loans I'm still paying off." "I didn't know that." "No one does, because Amanda was the star, and I was the background noise." I understood that feeling more than she knew. The trial was set for early March. Amanda's lawyer tried to negotiate a plea deal restitution probation community service, but the prosecutor wasn't interested. Financial exploitation of the elderly is a serious crime, the prosecutor told me during a pretrial meeting. We want to send a message that this behavior won't be tolerated, even if the victim doesn't want to press charges. Mrs. Chen, with respect, this isn't about what you want anymore. Your daughter-in-law committed a crime, multiple crimes. The state has an interest in prosecuting. So we went to trial. The courtroom was smaller than I expected. Wood paneling, fluorescent lights, that particular smell of old carpet and recycled air. I sat in the second row with Michael on one side and Brittany on the other. Amanda's parents sat across the aisle, not looking at us. Amanda was brought in wearing a navy pantsuit that was too big for her. She'd lost weight. Her hair, usually perfectly highlighted, had grown out to show her natural dark roots. She looked small, diminished. When her eyes met mine across the courtroom, I saw something I'd never seen before: fear. The prosecution laid out their case methodically. Bank records showing unauthorized transfers. My testimony about never giving permission. Dr. Vasquez's report on the fraudulent competency petition. Email evidence of Amanda's planning. Mrs. Martinez Reynolds systematically exploited her elderly mother-in-law, the prosecutor argued. She stole money. She attempted to have Mrs. Chen declared incompetent to gain control of her assets. She built a business using property she didn't own. This was calculated deliberate elder abuse. Amanda's lawyer argued she was a desperate mother trying to provide for her family, that the money was for household expenses Michael couldn't cover, that the competency petition was filed out of genuine concern. My client made mistakes, the lawyer admitted, but she's not a criminal. She's a scared woman who made poor choices under financial pressure. I listened to it all, feeling numb. On the third day of trial, I was called to testify. I walked to the witness stand on shaky legs, put my hand on the Bible, swore to tell the truth. The prosecutor asked me to describe my relationship with Amanda, the financial gifts, the gradual exclusion from family life, the Thanksgiving dinner that broke everything open. Mrs. Chen, did you give your daughter-in-law permission to access your bank accounts? No. Did you authorize the transfers totaling $11,000? No. Did you ask her to file a competency petition? No. I had just completed a cognitive evaluation showing I was fully capable. The petition was frivolous. How did this situation make you feel? I paused, looked at Amanda. She was staring at the table, tears running down her face. Invisible, I said finally. For years I felt invisible, like I only mattered when they needed money, like I was an obligation rather than a person, a mother, a grandmother. And when you discovered the theft, I felt betrayed, but mostly I felt sad. Sad that my family had come to this, that money mattered more than love. During cross-examination, Amanda's lawyer tried to paint me as vindictive. Isn't it true, Mrs. Chen, that you refused to give your son the lake house you'd promised him? I never promised to give it to him. I said he could use it. But you let him believe he owned it. I let him make assumptions. I didn't correct them. That's not the same as lying. So you intentionally deceived your own son. I protected an asset that turned out to need protecting. If I'd transferred ownership, Amanda would have sold it and kept the money. Objection. Speculation. Sustained. The lawyer tried again. You've given your son over $200,000 over the years. Doesn't that suggest a pattern of financial control, of using money to manipulate family relationships? I took a deep breath. I gave that money out of love. I expected nothing in return except basic respect. I didn't get even that. So yes, I stopped giving. That's not manipulation. That's self-preservation. On the fourth day, Michael testified. I watched my son walk to the stand, saw how much he'd aged in the past few months. The prosecutor asked him about his knowledge of Amanda's actions. I didn't know, Michael said, his voice breaking. I swear I didn't know she was taking money. When I found out, I was horrified. My mother has always been there for us, for me. And I let my wife steal from her. I'll never forgive myself for that. Did your wife discuss the competency petition with you? No. She filed it without my knowledge. When I found out, I realized I didn't know who I'd married. Amanda's lawyer asked Michael if he'd benefited from the stolen money. Technically, yes. It went into our joint account. It paid for things for our family. But I didn't know where it came from. Amanda handled our finances. I trusted her. You trusted her, but you're divorcing her now. Isn't it convenient to claim ignorance when your marriage is ending? Objection. Withdrawn. Then Amanda took the stand. She testified that she'd been struggling, that Michael's business had hit hard times, that she'd panicked about losing their house, their lifestyle, their security. I took the money because I didn't know what else to do, she said, crying. I know it was wrong. I know I should have asked, but Barbara had so much and we had so little. It didn't seem fair. So you felt entitled to her money? The prosecutor asked. No, I thought she wouldn't miss it. She was alone. She didn't have expenses like we did. We had kids to feed, a mortgage to pay. I thought I was just borrowing from their future inheritance anyway. And the competency petition? Amanda hesitated. I was worried about her. She seemed forgetful. She was alone so much. I thought maybe she needed help. Help or control? That's not fair. You were trying to gain legal control of her finances, isn't that true? Yes, but for her own good. For her own good, or for yours? Amanda didn't answer. The jury deliberated for 6 hours. We sat in the hallway outside the courtroom waiting. Michael paced. Brittany held my hand. Amanda's parents prayed quietly in Spanish. When the jury came back, we filed into the courtroom. On the count of theft, how do you find guilty? On the count of financial exploitation of a vulnerable adult, guilty. On the count of fraudulent petition, guilty. Amanda collapsed into her chair, sobbing. Her lawyer put a hand on her shoulder. The judge scheduled sentencing for 2 weeks later. I didn't feel victorious. I felt hollow. That night, Sophie crawled into bed with me. She did that sometimes now when the nightmares got bad. Grandma, is Mommy going to prison? I don't know, honey. Maybe. For how long? I don't know that either. I hate you a little bit right now. The honesty of it broke my heart. I know, sweetheart. That's okay. But I love you too. Can I feel both things? Yes, you can feel both things. She curled up against me. Daddy says you did the right thing, but the right thing feels really bad. Sometimes it does. Sometimes doing the right thing is the hardest thing in the world. 2 days before sentencing, Amanda's lawyer called me. Mrs. Chen, my client would like to speak with you, in person, before the sentencing hearing. Why? She says she owes you an apology, a real one. It's too late for apologies. Maybe, but would you consider it? For your son's sake, for the children. I thought about Sophie saying she hated me a little bit, about Ethan's nightmares, about Michael's guilt. All right, I'll meet with her. They brought Amanda to a conference room at the jail. She was in an orange jumpsuit, her hair pulled back in a messy ponytail. Without makeup, she looked younger, more vulnerable. I sat across from her at a metal table. A guard stood by the door. Thank you for coming, Amanda said quietly. I'm here. Say what you need to say. She took a shaky breath. I'm sorry. For all of it. The money, the lies, the petition. For making you feel invisible. For treating you like you didn't matter. Why did you do it? Honestly, because I could. Because you let me. Because you were kind and generous and I took advantage of that. She wiped her eyes. And because I was scared. Scared of what? Of not being enough. Of losing everything. My whole life I've been terrified of being poor. Of being nobody. So I clawed and schemed and did whatever it took to feel secure. And I hurt people. I hurt you most of all. You hurt your children. I know. God, I know. Sophie won't talk to me anymore. Ethan pretends everything's fine, but I can hear it in his voice. I broke my family, Barbara, and I can't fix it. I sat with that for a moment. What do you want from me? Nothing. I don't deserve anything from you. But I want you to know, I see you now. I see what I did. And I'm so sorry. At sentencing, I did something I hadn't planned to do. I asked to speak. The judge looked surprised but allowed it. I stood up, my legs shaking, and faced the court. Your Honor, I'm the victim in this case. Amanda Martinez Reynolds stole from me, lied to me, and tried to have me declared incompetent to steal more. She deserves punishment for that. But she's also the mother of my grandchildren, and those children have already lost so much. I took a breath. I'm asking you to consider a sentence that includes restitution and probation rather than prison time. Not because I forgive Amanda, I'm not there yet, but because my grandchildren need their mother. And I think Amanda can learn from this if given the chance. The prosecutor stood up. Your Honor, with respect to Mrs. Chen, the state believes prison time is appropriate. I understand, the judge said, but I'm taking the victim's wishes into consideration. The judge sentenced Amanda to 5 years probation, 1,000 hours of community service, full restitution of the stolen money, and mandatory counseling. Mrs. Martinez Reynolds, the judge said, you're getting a second chance because Mrs. Chen has shown you more grace than you showed her. Don't waste it. If you violate probation in any way, you'll serve the full prison sentence. Do you understand? Yes, Your Honor. Thank you. Amanda looked at me across the courtroom, mouthed thank you. I nodded. Once. Recovery was slow. Amanda moved into a small apartment and got a job as a receptionist at a dental office. Real work, for a real paycheck. No more personal brand or Instagram sponsorships. She saw the kids every other weekend, supervised by Brittany at first, then gradually on her own as trust rebuilt. Michael and I found our rhythm. He and the kids stayed with me for 6 months before he felt ready to move back into his house. But he came over for dinner twice a week. Called every day. Let me be the grandmother I'd always wanted to be. Brittany became family in a way she'd never been before. She was at every Sunday dinner, every holiday. Sophie and Ethan called her Aunt Britt and asked for her when they were sick or sad. And slowly, painfully, we healed. 1 year after the trial, the whole family gathered at the lake house. Yes, the lake house. I'd decided to make it truly a family property. I kept it in my name, but drafted an agreement allowing supervised use by everyone, Michael, Amanda, even Amanda's parents. It was Thanksgiving. A do-over of the disaster that started everything. This time there was one table, one long table on the deck overlooking the lake, and at the head of that table sat me with Sophie on one side and Ethan on the other. Michael carved the turkey. Brittany arranged the side dishes. Amanda set the table and stayed quiet, still earning her place back. Before we ate, Sophie asked if she could say something. I want to say I'm thankful for Grandma, she announced, because she taught me that being nice is good, but standing up for yourself is better, and that you can love people even when they mess up, but you don't have to let them hurt you. I looked around the table, at my son who'd learned to be the parent his children needed, at Brittany who'd found her place in our family, at Amanda who was learning what real accountability looked like, at my grandchildren who were resilient beyond their years. This wasn't the family I'd imagined. It was broken and reconstructed, scarred, but stronger. But it was mine, and I was no longer invisible in it. Before we eat, I said I want to say something too. This year has been the hardest of my life, but it taught me something important. I'm not too old to stand up for myself. I'm not too old to demand respect. I'm not too old to matter. I looked at Amanda. We may never be close. We may never fully trust each other, but we're family, and family means we keep trying. Amanda's eyes filled with tears. Thank you, Barbara. I nodded. Then I raised my glass. To second chances, to boundaries, to family, messy, complicated, imperfect family. To family, everyone echoed. And for the first time in years, I felt truly seen.